Hello and welcome to South Asia Focus. I'm Smita Prakash. This week we have with us Defence Analyst retired Major General Ashok Mehta. We will be talking to him about the horrific Peshawar School massacre, Prime Minister Sharif's resolve to fight the Taliban, and Hafiz Saeed blaming India for the attack. But before that, we have this short report. The Taliban attacked an army-run school in Pakistani city of Peshawar on the 16th of December, killing 148 people, of which 132 were children. The killers, who blew themselves up after killing children most brutally at point-blank range, also set fire to teachers. The Pakistani Taliban was quick to take responsibility for the strike, claiming that it was retribution for Pakistan Army's military crackdown in North Waziristan. They released photographs of the child killers taken before the strike, which matched the photos of the slain terrorists. The Prime Minister, Nawaz Sharif, called an all-party meet, and both he and adversary Imran Khan committed themselves to fight jointly against terrorism. In Peshawar, the city of flowers, mourned the brutal massacre which has stunned the world. In several cities around the world, people held peace marches and prayer meetings to mourn the loss of lives. In the Indian Parliament, a 2-minute silence was observed. And in schools across India, silent prayers were said to Pakistani children who fell to terrorism. Thank you very much for speaking with us, sir. I'd like to begin by asking that as a former army officer yourself, would you see this as the Peshawar attacks as something that that a terror group has attacked an army camp, an army school against an operation conducted by the army, or is it just a random terror attack on innocent victims? Is it something which is an anti-army operation, or is it just a terror attack? How would you classify it?
I think the short answer to that is they selected a soft target, and soft target with a view to inflicting maximum damage with minimum effort. Well, the minimum effort is 8 suicide martyrs, but 8 for 140, very cynical way of putting it, but they achieved their objective. Yes, it is anti-army simply because children in this army school are mainly parents belong to the army, and they have said that this is a retaliation, a revenge for Operation Zarb-e-Azb, which started in June in the northwest, in North Waziristan.
See, if they wanted to attack the army, it would have been extremely easy to just walk into the cantonment. I mean, they did that, terror groups have done that in Uri. They've shown that they could do it in India, cross over the LOC, come into India, get into an Indian army camp. If that was that easy, then why not attack the army cantonment area in Peshawar? Why children? Because you know that attacking children means you lose sentiment, right?
No, that is why they are called terrorists. If they had attacked, if you attack a civilian target, it's an act of terrorism. If you attack a military target, so when the terrorists crossed over from Pakistan and came to Jammu and struck at, or in Uri and struck at an artillery camp, they attacked a military target. So it was an act of military, it's a military act. This is the definition laid down by the Americans. When you attack a civilian target, it's an act of terror.
Right.
You are inflicting casualties against innocent children, teachers, parents, and all the others. So that's why it's an act of terror. The reason why it is done is because it's much easier.
So this is
it's
not
a soft target.
So this was not an act of terror then?
It is an act of terror.
But then they are attacking an army cantonment. They're attacking an army target, right? Children of army personnel.
There is a justification. They didn't select a private school where the children didn't belong to the army. But it's still an act of terrorism because there are no military guards there. There are no military soldiers with rifles. What the terrorists do in Kashmir sometimes is they, as they did in the most recent attack, they struck an artillery camp which is guarded by military soldiers. Soldiers of the Punjab regiment were there.
Pakistan army now just not holding back in attacking. Firstly, it's an amorphous lot. Who are they going to? Because you've seen a few days since the Peshawar attack, nobody in the establishment is willing to take the name. It's still Namaloom Afraad. They are still not saying it is the Pakistani Taliban. This is when the Pakistani Taliban have even released photographs of the perpetrators.
Only Imran Khan is not saying so. Imran Khan, Tehreek-e-Insaf Pakistan, is the one who is not named TTP. Others have named TTP.
Even the Prime Minister said no good Taliban, bad Taliban, but nobody is saying that this
But the official,
was done.
if you read the official release, they blamed the TTP. TTP, the Mullah Fazlullah group has owned responsibility.
They've owned responsibility.
I think there's my personal views, there's no doubt on that. Only Imran Khan is silent on this, because Imran Khan is the one who had advocated talks with the TTP, and as we know, 3 separate attempts were made. Even he was able to persuade Nawaz Sharif. Nawaz Sharif was also keen on talks, but finally they had to break down.
Do you see the political establishment now coming in Pakistan coming on the same page to tackle terrorism? Do you see the executive, the judiciary and the legislature all on the same page to tackle terrorism? Because unless all 3, including the army, unless they are all on the same page, do you see that country ever managing to wage a war and win it at any point of time against terrorism?
I think the short answer is no, because the principal proponent of this strategy is the army, and as long as the army disassociates itself with the form of terrorism that it fights, in other words, selective terrorism, good and bad. So you have created strategic assets both against Afghanistan as well as against India. Lashkar-e-Taiba here, Haqqani is an Afghan Taliban there. So those are the good guys. In between you have TTP. Within TTP also there are groups that have peace deals with the army. So they are also good Taliban. The Punjabi Taliban, there are sectarian groups.
Then there's the Saraiki Taliban also.
So these groups attack the Shias. So there is that. So it is absolute, Pakistan has reached, it's already crossed the Rubicon. It's beyond, it's the point of no return, unless, of course, to which we can come to later, how can we address this problem. But returning to your question, you talked about the judiciary. Now the judiciary, we know there are 800 people on the death row. No judge is prepared to hold those trials. Nobody is prepared to appear as witness. And this 2611 trial, you just mentioned before the program that this mastermind, Zakir Rahman, has been given
let off
bail.
On bail, right.
Well,
have they done that because they need him now to fight the war against the good and the bad, and who they describe as the bad Taliban?
No, I don't think so. They will, of course, officially they will say it's purely on the basis of evidence that has been provided.
Because LET is their front line of defense, many of them have said, including Hamid Gul, including General Musharraf. They have all admitted that LET, JUD was their first line of defense. They have trained them, they have put them forward for the Kashmiri Jihad. And now do they need these foot soldiers now to deal with is that why they have let out Lucky? And is that why they don't?
That may not be the reason, but you see, the judges are also under pressure. So it's very difficult to tell what the reason is. The official reason that normally they present is insufficient evidence. If you ask the Indian judiciary, people who said that we have given them dossiers, reams full of evidence,
Sure.
but that evidence doesn't apply to Pakistan, they said.
Obviously, justice for 2611 is not on the list of priority for Pakistan, whether the judiciary or whether the executive. And at this stage, do you see, when the Indian Prime Minister turns around and tells Pakistan and tells the Pakistani leadership, we are very much with you, we are standing behind you, we stand, I mean, you saw this trending for several days, India with Pakistan, the support that India could give Pakistan, it's clearly been spurned by Pakistan.
No, not yet. I think what, you're absolutely right when you say that India, I mean, the few things that we have done after the attack in Peshawar, I think the Peshawar attack is Pakistan's 9/11. It's a turning point, or rather it could be the turning point. The way India has responded, we've done four things. Firstly, the National Security Advisor goes to the Pakistan Embassy and signs in their visitors book. Number two, Parliament observes a minute's silence. Number three, children
Prayers around the country.
2 minutes silence. And last, the Prime Minister picks up the phone, speaks to Nawaz Sharif and empathizes with this moment of grief in Pakistan. So this is quite unprecedented, this constellation of activity to show sympathy for what's happened. And I think the purpose behind this is because we see this turning point in Pakistan as a turning point for the region, because we are...
It ought to be, you saying that a turning point for the region, right? But is it? Will it be?
Well, the short answer again is no. Unless there are many difficulties. You see, this is not a military operation. That Zarbe is not the end of life. There has to be an operation against the ideology. It's an ideological conflict also. So you have to roll back this radicalism, this extremism, this religious fervor which has been created, which was created by Pakistan to establish an identity, to seek parity with India, to foil India's... So now you have to roll back, you have to undo what you did.
I guess once a CT strategy does come up, then we'll know whether Pakistan is going to go ahead with its plan to crack down on terrorism emanating from its soil.
That's the short-term answer.
Right.
The longer-term, more comprehensive approach will be a policy which is hand in glove with the military strategy, and that is of rolling back these madarsas, this radicalism, religious extremism, all this in the name of religion.
And using non-state actors.
And using state, please change this to state-sponsored non-state actors.
Right. That's a good terminology. Thank you very much for speaking with us.
Yeah.